Aloha, this is Charlie from Tropical Birding, and welcome to this video trip report from my recent Hawaii departure tour. Please check out this PDF which accompanies this video. You can see the itinerary, the birds of the trip, and a full checklist of all the things that we saw. Check out the link to the eBird trip report there, and also another link to some photos on iNaturalist. You can also check out the Tropical Birding website with lots of information about the tour, nice photos of birds, all the information you need there, the price, the length, difficulty. Okay, as always, let's start with a map. The state of Hawaii is in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, easily accessible from California and also from Asia. We start the tour on the island of Oahu in Honolulu, specifically Waikiki. We stay at a place called Kaimana Beach, which is very nice, just across the road from Kapiolani Park. So if you decide to come early, you can do a bit of birding on your own there. Also nice swimming there. This is what it looks like from the air. You can see the mountains in the background, and this rather remarkable feature on the right is an extinct volcano called Diamond Head. We start our birding up in the hills. We went to a place called the Wili Nui Ridge Trail. And this is looking down from the start of the trail. We can see Diamond Head down there at the bottom. A nice place for general birding. We saw a few introduced species like this red-vented bulbul and Java sparrow, both from Asia. But we're not here to look for introduced species. We want to find some endemics. Hawaii's got quite a lot of conservation issues, including invasive species of plants. So they ask you to clean your boots at the beginning of the trail. We've got brushes and sprays there. And this is the start of the trail. Got some native vegetation there on the left and some non-native strawberry guava trees there on the right. This was our first endemic. It's called the Oahu lepaio. It's a monarch flycatcher. Very charming little bird, quite easy to find here. We walked a little bit up the trail, started seeing more native plant life, but there's still a few non-native species like this Cook's pine from New Caledonia, a very common sight in Hawaii. This is a very important plant called Ohia lehua, the native tree, and it's a food source for many of the native honeycreepers. This is our next target, the Oahu amakihi. It's in a group of birds called the honeycreepers that have been very affected by avian malaria, and many of them are really on their way to extinction. But luckily, this one and a few others seem to have developed a bit of immunity to avian malaria and are still pretty common. From the mountains, we went back down to the coast road and took a nice drive along the coast, very scenic. Saw some nice birds along there, like this red-tailed tropic bird and suri tern. We made our way along to the Kailepulu Wetland Bird Preserve, where we look for our first native water birds. This is the endemic Hawaiian coot, and we also saw these endemic subspecies of common gallinule and also black-necked stilt. We thought we'd seen our first Hawaiian duck, but it seems that all the Hawaiian ducks on Oahu are hybridized with mallards. Some other birds we saw, black-crowned night herons, and also these cute little common waxbills from Africa. We carried on up to a place called Kahuku and the Kahuku Golf Course. On the golf course itself here, we saw quite a few birds, including Pacific golden plovers and red-crested cardinals from South America. We made our way to the Japanese cemetery, which is the best place to see this bird, the Bristle-thighed Curlew, one of the more difficult shorebirds in the world to see. And Hawaii is probably the easiest place to see this bird. You can see them in Alaska as well, but they require quite a long hike. Very scenic place, good for sea watching. And we saw these amazing Laysan albatrosses flying over, first out to sea, and then they even came right overhead. And we're also very lucky to find these ones as well, the black-footed albatrosses, two species of albatrosses flying right over our heads. It was quite remarkable. From Oahu, we next went to the island of Kauai and flew into Lihue Airport. And from there, we drove straight up to the north coast and a place called Kilauea Point National Wildlife Refuge. Got a lighthouse here, which you can see there, and also a nice overlook where you can see some nice seabirds. This is one of the cool birds we saw there, the red-footed booby, which are all nesting in the trees. Next, we went along to the Hanalei National Wildlife Refuge, which is a great place for freshwater birds. This is what it looks like on the ground, these nice ponds. And here we saw many Hawaiian geese. This bird almost became extinct several decades ago and is one of the real conservation success stories in Hawaii, now pretty common. We also saw our first purebred Hawaiian ducks dabbling in the mud here. Yeah, very charming. Then it was back to check into our nice hotel. We headed down to the south coast next, to a place called Salt Pond Beach Park, where we found this lovely animal, the Hawaiian monk seal, endangered species. Um, it was just lounging on a very busy beach, but it was kind of all toned off, and everybody was giving it its space for its nap. But yeah, very cute animals. Next, we went a little further along to look for some other cool wildlife. This is called Poipu Beach. And here we saw these wonderful green sea turtles, which come ashore and rest even during the day. And again, they're all coned off, and there's even volunteers there explaining all about the turtles to people and making sure that they're not disturbed. The next day, we went to a place called the Kokee State Park, which is some beautiful native forest on the eastern side of the island. A bit of video here to give you an idea of what it is like. A lot of these trees are koa trees, which type of acacia, native acacia. You can see it's very lush, kind of dripping. Um, yeah, really, really beautiful forest. And here we were looking for endemic species again, endemic forest species. We found the endemic Kauai elepaio, related to the Oahu species. Again, fairly common and is doing quite well. It seems to have developed some resistance to avian malaria, as has this beautiful bird, the apapane, which was very common in the ohia trees. There was another couple of honeycreepers that we were looking for, the ani owl and the Hawaii amakihi, and we missed both of those species. When I talked to a local guide later on, he says every year they're getting more and more difficult, and a lot of the Kauai forest birds are really struggling, and they seem to be en route to extinction. A lot of other nice birds to be seen at Kokee. This is the Urkel's franklin, which is an introduced species, but quite pretty. We had lunch down at the lodge, outside of which they feed some birds. You can see all these zebra doves and red jungle fowl. So you can see there's no shortage of birds in Hawaii, just the native species are having a hard time. On the way down, we stopped at the Waimea Canyon, where we saw white-tailed tropic birds and enjoyed the beautiful scenery. The next day, we flew from Lihue Airport over to the Big Island and arrived in Kona International Airport. When you're arriving, it's a really dramatic sight. The whole western side of the island is just covered in these fairly recent lava flows. Yeah, it's really quite remarkable to see. Our first birding site was also on the western side of the island, up at a place called Kalila Forest Discovery Trail. We were looking for the critically endangered Kalila, and I also heard from a local guide that this may become the next avian extinction from Hawaii. Its population has dropped precipitously in the last few years, and even though it's quite high up, it seems to be suffering. Yeah, its population is just in free fall, so it's a very sad story. But we did see our next endemic species, which was the Hawaii amakihi, which luckily is also doing quite well. From there, we went up to the town of Waimea and a place called Kamuela Inn, which was a rather nice place to stay. Unlike the large kind of beach hotels that we'd stayed in up until now, this was a smaller place. It was actually my favorite place to stay during the tour. The town's got some nice restaurants, including this pizza restaurant that had a big table called the Godfather Table, where I enjoyed rather large pizza. The next day, we visited a place called the Hakala Forest National Wildlife Refuge. This place you can only go with a certified local guide, and we had one of the best, a guy called Lance Tanino, and he did a great job um, finding all these rare birds for us and explaining all about the biology of Hawaii. Took a little bit of video, again, walking around Hakala. You can see it's got some quite large trees all covered in lichens. Until now, we'd only seen these red ohia flowers, but here they also had yellow ones. And one thing that really stood out here were the size of the trees. I mean, they had really enormous trees. It was quite impressive. Plenty of beautiful birds. Apapanes were very common there and in full song. We had more Hawaii amakihis. This is a male here. This was one of my favorite birds of the tour, the Iiwi. Absolutely stunning. And again, in full song, displaying everywhere. We had our third Elepaio species, the Hawaii Elepaio. Some more drab species like this Hawaiian creeper. And this one was voted the bird of the trip. It's called the Akiapolaau, or Aki for short, and it's got surely one of the most remarkable bills in the bird world. The upper and lower mandibles have quite different functions. The lower one is straight and quite strong, and they use it almost like a woodpecker. And the upper one is long and curved and used for sort of picking out little grubs from the crevices. I got a bit of video footage of this amazing bird, and it was really a privilege to see it this well. You can see it really in full action, making use of the upper and lower mandibles. It was really quite a wonderful thing to look at it going like, oh, just amazing. And it can apparently it can bend its upper mandible, and the tip of that longer upper mandible can actually touch the tip of the lower mandible. It can sort of it's like malleable. Just incredible. Some other wonderful birds that we saw there. This is the Akipa, which actually has a slight crossbill there. And some nice signs there, telling you all about some of the native species. There was an open grassy area there that had breeding Hawaiian geese. Plenty of other non-native species there as well. This was quite a big target, the Kalij pheasant from Asia, quite a spectacular bird. And another native species, the endemic subspecies of short-eared owl, which is quite common in the area. The next day, we were mixing it up a little bit, and we took a pelagic boat ride from this little port here with a company called Captain Zodiac. We actually went on a larger version of the Zodiac called the Hurricane. We had a very experienced captain and also a lifeguard, so we were very well looked after. The tropical waters are quite quiet in general, but you get these marker buoys or marker buoys that fish seem to congregate around, and you often get birds hanging around them too, like this brown booby and this red-footed booby. We saw a few tube noses as well. This was a tube nose that we saw, the wedge-tailed shearwater, which we had in good numbers and got great views of here in flight. Also had some other birds like this brown noddy. After lunch, we went to the nearby Kealakehe water treatment plant or sewage works, looking for some other water birds. Here we saw black-crowned night herons, rather uncommon pectoral sandpiper, and yeah, we did a bit of list padding. Next, we were exploring the eastern side of the island and the Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. Here there was a sign informing us that the two active volcanoes there were not currently erupting, which was quite reassuring. had a nice forest trail there as well. We walked through some more native forest. They had some information boards about some of the bird species that have gone extinct, including this one called the o'o. Pretty spectacular, quite sad. We also walked down these steps and into a lava tube. This is us going in. It's certainly the first time I've been in one of these. Absolutely fascinating. Next, we went down to the coast and drove through this huge lava field. I mean, it was seriously impressive. And I think it was from as recently as the 1970s. When we got down to the coast, you can see it's pretty scenic. And here we had a bird target, which was the black noddy. This is a Hawaiian subspecies with orange feet. We were staying in the Hilo area, at the Hilo Hawaiian Hotel. Some good birding in the area. We got Hawaiian hawk. And also in some of the parks, we saw some nice shorebirds like this wandering tattler. Lots more Pacific golden plovers, including some coming to breeding plumage. And these ruddy turnstones were even just running around on a grassy lawn. It's quite amazing. Plenty of other nice birds in these parks. Non-native species. This is a Saffron Finch from South America. The yellow-billed Cardinal, also from South America. And the yellow-fronted Canary from Africa. Very beautiful coast there. Got some nice crabs and things. And I also took a dip and did some snorkeling, took a few fish photos. These are convict surgeons. This is a Hawaiian bacillus and the spotted boxfish. I think I saw about 35 species of fish, but yeah, with more time under the water, you could certainly see a lot more. Just to finish off, please check out my iNaturalist page, where you can see some nice photos of plants and mammals and reptiles. And also check out my eBird trip report, which has all the birds that we saw. You see, we got 79 species, not a huge trip list, but yeah, some real special birds. Photographed quite a lot of those birds, 47 species. You can see all the locations and photos on there, so please check it out. And to finish off again, here's my favorite bird, the Iiwi, waiting for you in Hawaii. It's a wonderful place, some beautiful birds, friendly people, nice accommodations, great food. Um, Definitely a place to come soon. A lot of these birds are becoming rarer and rarer every year. Very sad, but there are some success stories as well, like Hakala. I hope you've enjoyed this video trip report, and I look forward to seeing you in the future on one of our Hawaii tours. All the best. Take care.